All right. Happy Thursday to everybody.
Yeah.
It is an awesome Thursday. It was an actually beautiful weather here today. We've had nothing but rain all week, but it was absolutely beautiful here today. So
I drove across the Rainbow Bridge up in Beach City, and the water is so high.
Oh, I bet.
That it's almost to the road.
We've had so much rain here. Ben, good evening to you. Thanks for joining in, man. Much appreciated, and hope you're doing very well. I don't know how the weather is where you are, but here we finally got a break in the rain. My backyard is a lake.
Yeah, I mean, we're still under flood warnings.
Yeah, there's still flood warnings up, high water. So this weekend's fishing for us is probably out, but it's a birthday weekend.
Oh, really?
Yes, Karen turns 29 again.
You're going to tell the whole world.
Yeah, 29. So that's awesome. That's where we're stopping it right there, 29. We stop it there.
It's forever 29.
Forever 29. So, but yeah, happy birthday. Yeah, she'll celebrate that this weekend. So we've had it's been a very rainy week for us. We've got a lot of, and actually this weekend's supposed to rain some more too. Yeah. Your mother's coming into town, so we've got a lot of things to do. And it's absolutely been a crazy world that we live in. I don't know if you're paying attention to the news. I know this isn't a political show or anything like that, but the news is just off the charts crazy. Things I didn't have on my bingo card at all are like...
Yeah.
So, anyway, Ben says Houston's been dealing with flooding all around. Yeah, it's just been, it's been like that here. So we are just, the water is so high. All the ditches, all the levees are very full. But anyway, that's not why you're here. We are here to talk some fishing. We've got a couple of different articles that we pulled up this week for something I think you'll find interesting. One of them, I think, and when Karen read it, she laughed. She thought it was funny. So we'll get into it with our first article here called The Trash Fish Revolution. The Trash Fish Revolution. So this is from the Meat Eater. And I thought this was interesting because he's holding up a nice little alligator. I shouldn't say little. He's holding up an alligator gar there.
Look at those teeth.
Just absolutely massive. I caught one of those, my first one last year, and it was incredible to hold that thing. They do stink. I did find that out. They do have a smell to them. It's very specific.
Really?
And I don't target them, but it was a bycatch. But anyway, he starts off this, and if you're like me, there are certain fish when you go out fishing you just don't want to catch. You know that they're there. But we like to go out to harvest fish, and so there's certain fish where you catch them, you're just like, I don't want to be bothered with this fish. Whether that be certain species of catfish, hardheads we call them, piggy perch, just all this bait stealers we call them.
Yeah.
And so it says here in this article, it says trash fish were long considered to be the lowest on the food-worthy fish scale. But recently, anglers have begun to see the value in these non-typical, overlooked, and underappreciated species. How this revolution started is an interesting shift in knowledge and cultural norms. These non-game fish are ugly, sucker-mouthed, snaggle-toothed, mottled menagerie of undesirables.
Oh,
it's quite the
Look at
line
all the
there.
adjectives.
Yeah. And then they put some fish in there. And so tell me if you think these are trash fish. I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know. But the suckers, gar, bowfin, snakehead, carp, buffalo, and freshwater drum.
Yeah, I'd say all of them.
All of them?
Oh, I wouldn't eat any of those.
My brother loves fishing for snakehead up in Maryland.
Well,
and he says they're good to eat.
Because you're supposed to take them out of the water.
No, I don't know if anymore. They used to be giving bounties for them. Senor Mysterioso, very good to see you. It says, what it says, neither knows gar have an odor as well. Yeah, they really do. I just noticed that. I didn't know that until I caught that.
It's hard to eat something when your palate's turned off by the smell.
Yeah, and so it says, treated with disdain by anglers for years, these fish have been looked as an irritating bycatch, and usually bumped on the head and left on the bank to rot. Now, I don't do that. Even hardheads, I don't do that with them. I do put them back. I don't destroy them. When I was growing up, we had these oyster toads, and they were big, teethy.
Oh yeah, those are ugly ones. Yeah.
And then people just throw them on the bridge or whatever and let them die. And I'm like, they've got a purpose too. And so I'd always have mercy on them. But in any case, He says many view these species in the water as a bad thing, believe they steal eggs, even prey on the more valuable game fish like bass, trout, and walleye. Often anglers will go to extremes to remove them from the waterways, but make them targets of bow fishing expeditions, catching them in gill nets, or even poisoning dynamite in the water. I've never seen anybody throwing dynamite into the water.
I don't know how that would help.
I don't know. Like that, you have to be a little bit frustrated for that. You start just dynamite in the water there. So, anyway, what does Ben say? Ben says alligator gar have a long history in the original sentiments of an Indian tribe. I don't know how that's pronounced. I don't want to mispronounce the Karakana, maybe Indians. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But
Konakawa or
something like that. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Konakawa. Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Some of these things that we consider trash fish do have, and he goes into this in the article. I know I would encourage you to read the article. I have it linked in the description of the video below. But he goes into all of the history of trash fish, and he calls them trash fish, and he's putting that in quotes because he doesn't believe there's any trash fish. But he goes into a whole a litany of how we populated bass and made them, but they were the invasive species in some areas because bass didn't have them, and then they became more desirable because of tournaments and things like that, and then now we have catch and release, so people want to keep catching them and stocking and all of that. And so he goes into a whole history here of trash fish, which was very, very interesting. Oh, hey, Grant. Good to glad you stopped by the stream here, and hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great day. Hope it's warming up where you are. We were just talking about the weather here, so hopefully it's good where you are. So he's talking about these fish. He's showing some different pictures of different things. I mean, that's a cool looking fish. I don't know what that is. I think it's maybe a sucker, but he caught it on a fly rod, so I think that's pretty cool. Then he talks about some expanding horizons here, how the population is growing. There's there's less land that's undeveloped and unexplored, and how we want to continue to do that. So he talks about that. But this guy Graham, David Graham, he's at the forefront of what he's calling the trash fish revolution, trying to get us to think different about these fish, which was interesting. And he says it's an archaic term. Just hearing the term trash fish makes me cringe a bit. I'm glad it's going away. It's all perception based and totally in the eye of the beholder. As they say, one man's trash and another man's treasure. I don't know if I'm ever going to look at hardheads like, yes.
No, but I do remember a time we were on a bridge and we caught something. I don't remember what it was. I was about to throw it back, and this guy comes over. This older gentleman. He's like, "You gonna eat that?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
"That was whiting."
No.
When we first moved,
I want to eat it.
When we first moved to Texas, we were pier fishing. We were catching whiting like going out of style. They were all over the place, and I was like, I don't know what these things are, but I was like, I've never seen these things before. I'm throwing them back. And everyone's like, why are you throwing those back? And then I found out they're actually pretty good to eat. They make great fish tacos. So it is in the eye of the beholder to some degree, especially if you're not familiar with certain species. But anyway, it says Graham has been at the forefront of the trash fish revolution, believing for years that many species anglers look down on are simply getting a bad rap. And his avid pursuit of commonly less than desirable fish, David has found they can be every bit as challenging, hard fighting, and now this was the shocking one, and make good table fare. I mean, let's see. Ben says, I've eaten hardhead in the past. It's not terrible. Yeah, we did eat hardhead once. We tried it.
We got a really big one.
Yeah,
we
tried it.
A really big one because
there's not much on them. There's just not much on them. So much is
lost in the head.
And we did soak it, didn't we? We soaked it in like buttermilk or something. So yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It wasn't so bad that I couldn't eat it, but I'd have to be hungry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it.
There's so many other things that I like better.
That's what it is. I think it is the fact that there's so much better things to eat. So it's like, why mess with this? He goes on to say this beautiful renaissance, at least in the last decade, there seems to have been a shift in the paradigm, and that's a good thing. People are starting to consider them to be game fish.
Not a hardhead.
Not a hardhead. But I mean, an alligator.
Kids have fun catching them.
But what about like an alligator gar?
I'm sure people have fun catching them.
I mean, people have fun catching alligator gars. I don't know how to target them specifically, but if I did, I'd probably go after them.
Probably like steel leaders and dead baits.
Yeah.
I've seen people throw a whole chicken out to target
them. Yeah. I guess because they are kind of, I don't know if they're not.
They prefer like eating
dead stuff. Yeah. Okay. So many anglers are not advocating for eating rough fish like drum, which he's talking, I think, freshwater drum, because I don't think he's talking about black drum or red drum there. But drum, sucker, and gar, and even some, now again, it's a stretch here, and some preferring their flesh to more popular food fish like walleye.
Well, I've never eaten a walleye.
I've never eaten walleye either.
So I don't know.
If anybody in the chat has ever eaten a walleye, let me know that, because I would be interested to know. I've never had walleye. I have fished for them, just never caught them. And I know that now down here, there's probably not much of a chance of catching them down here, but...
you need cold water.
Yeah, you need cold water. So he's got another one. This is a pretty fish. I mean, I'm guessing that's some sort of, I don't know, buffalo carp, maybe? I'm not really sure. So he says this, and this was where Karen thought it was really, really funny. He says, this is Captain Drew Price. He's the owner and operator of Masterclass Angling Guide Service. He says, the first thing I would say is that none of these fish are trash fish. He says, get this, ready? Mm-hmm. The ultimate trash fish is actually a stocked rainbow trout. And that's what we're talking about going for. We're like all excited, I know.
Every time he
We're all
goes
excited.
rainbow fish fishing in one of the
little ponds yeah.
that they stock them in, I don't go with him. The only time I don't want to go to fish, I don't want to catch them.
Yeah,
they're boring to catch.
He says that's what he says.
They're boring to eat.
He says the ultimate trash fish is actually a stocked rainbow trout. He says, I honestly don't know why people celebrate catching stocked rainbows. They're raised in tanks, they fight like crap, look like crap, they are crap. Yet a sucker or a bowfin, which fights hard and looks cool, is a trash fish. Most of the fish that people refer to as trash fish are native species that have always been there. That's true. Most of the time, the fish that we are saying, oh, we don't want to catch those, they're not. I mean, even redfish and speckled trout and flounder now, they're stocking in the bays and things. So a lot of the things that, so he's right about that. A lot of the fish that people don't want are the fish that actually have been there since forever. Yeah. So, Grant, he says yellow belly, channel, and blue cats are all I've had. Man, I thought, man, we got to get somebody in here that knows something about walleye and what they taste like.
Yeah. He compares it to walleye. So somebody's eaten one.
Somebody's eaten them.
But
he says the bowfin have been here for 300 million years unchanged. Tell me there's a more American game fish than that. You know, and I've not caught a bowfin. I haven't. It says for years the bowfin has been thought of as garbage.
Where are you usually find them?
A bowfin, I think they're a freshwater species. I want to say freshwater lakes and rivers. And so he says it's ridiculous. I think there's people are beginning to recognize and start realizing there's no such thing as trash fish. So, and he goes on. I'm not going to read the whole article to you. You can check it out if you want to read more about this. The link is in the description. But I just thought it was interesting. That is a bowfin.
Oh, okay.
That is a bowfin. And it's a cool looking fish. It really is, and it's not a. So a lot of people mistake them for snakeheads, but they're not snakeheads.
Yeah, at first I thought it was because of the end of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. In any case, read the article. I'd love to hear more about this. If you're joining us, you're reading this later. I would love to hear more about what you think about whether we have a trash fish and whether we should start thinking differently about them. Maybe we shouldn't. A gaff top does fight hard. They are fun. Especially the bigger ones, they are kind of fun to catch. Alligator gar, I would say so. I know a lot of people that carp fish and they absolutely love it. So maybe we should start changing the way that we think about these fish and just appreciate.
I know some Chinese friends of mine would catch all the carp and just rave about it.
Oh, they loved it.
And I'm like, ooh.
I was like, aren't like carp like big goldfish?
Yeah, that's what I thought of them as.
Or koi or something. I don't know. But in that case, maybe we should start thinking differently about the fish that we are enjoying as we go out there and not think of them as just a trash fish. Mm-hmm. Still, I think hardheads will always be a trash fish.
I mean, there's still things that I would like to eat better. There's more meat on them. Like one flounder has so much more meat than a hardhead. I mean, there's just so much less loss. Yeah. Another fish that has a lot of meat on it is a pompano. I mean, just full of protein and there's very little waste.
Yeah. Grant says walleye and channel cat fried in same batter and oil tastes the same. You know, that's probably true. There are times where we cook fish and people are like, what kind is this? And we're just like, maybe trout, maybe redfish. I'm not sure. I don't remember. Sometimes if it, we can tell the difference because of the meat itself being, but if it's fried and dipped, sometimes it's hard
once
to tell.
it's in a taco. I mean, if you go to a restaurant, chances are they're giving you fried catfish.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah. If you go to a restaurant, it's a fish fry. Yeah, you get catfish.
That's what you're getting.
Grant says also, I catch them often, but consider trash. I'll try a bowfin catch and cook this year, maybe. Okay, I'd love to see that. I really would. I'll look forward to that video because I'd love to see if they've got that back strap like snakeheads do. They could be very good. I just don't know. And Ben says, I don't give a carp, and it's being hidden there, and I'm not going to be coy about it. Nice. It's the puns.
Yes,
Gotta
of
have the
course.
puns, yes.
Of course.
All right, let's go on to the second article that we have here. This one, I was surprised when I read. I didn't know this was going on. Matter of fact, we just did a news article for a short, it was a few months ago, about the opposite of this in the bays. But apparently offshore is being treated completely different than the bays. And I don't know if it's environmental groups or what, but it was kind of a shocking thing. So let's go ahead and get to that story. This one says, removing retired golf rigs ruins offshore fishing. Decades old offshore oil and gas structures no longer involved in extraction still provide critical marine habitat, and bipartisan legislation is aimed at protecting these rigs turned reefs. So apparently what's happening is over the years there's been, all the rigs that are out there, and they're starting to remove them.
Well, I think the environmentalists don't understand that getting rid of them is actually worse for the environment.
Yeah,
because it's removing habitats for fish who have been there breeding for 10 years, hanging around, eating the bait. I mean,
again, kind of a shocking thing here. And at the beginning of this article, he tells a story about how he was a birthday weekend. He was going out with his buddies to go fishing. His first day of a tournament. He goes out to their favorite rig just to find out that it's not there. Like, it's gone. And all the structure around it's gone. And the platform and the reef, all the structure that had grown up around. Because you're going to have all the stuff that grows up around it. All of it's gone. It's been completely leveled. So he tells that here at the beginning of this. And again, the articles are in the description, so you can read the whole thing if you want to. But I wanted to start here. Senior Mysterioso says, why would anyone intentionally target carp as beyond me? Ugly looking fish. Yeah. But if you go on Instagram and you look for carp, oh my goodness. Huge,
big old goldfish looking things.
Yeah, huge carp. I mean, we're talking about their bodies are all like, they're hanging out and their bellies are like all out and everything.
Oh, no. Okay, so new definition. A trash fish, it's a fish that eats trash. How about that?
All right, we can try.
I don't like eating a lot of stuff that eats trash. Okay, so for instance.
So it's a bottom feeder.
Yes, for instance, catfish do eat trash stuff.
But they eat other stuff too.
Sometimes, yes. But those hardheads especially. So that's like, to me, they eat trash. That's why I have, a little bit of a problem eating some of those. Seeing as they eat trash. So.
All right, back to this article here. It says, this has become a common story along the Gulf Course. In the early 1980s, there were some 4,000 oil, gas, and sulfur production platforms in the northern and western Gulf. Obviously, the metal structures fixed to the sea floor in depths of 3 to 1,300 feet of water were built to extract and transport petroleum and minerals. But from a marine fisheries standpoint, they also quickly became an extensive network of the world's most productive artificial reefs.
Yeah, because it builds up around
them. If you're watching or if you're listening, I mean, you can, if you've ever, we see pictures of people who have that they do diving and spearfishing around them, and all kinds of growth all over them, and just they have all kinds of things, mussels and whatever else.
A lot of marine life around them.
Yeah. So it says in the last 25 years, the number of rigs has been cut by 60%. that's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. I was shocked.
Why are they taking so much time to remove them? What's the point?
It says in the next decade, as many as 700 more of the 1,550 or so remaining rigs could be removed as well. So they're continuing just to tear these things out. And it says, and when they are removed, and this was the part that was shocking to me, when they are removed, federal law currently requires the seafloor to be stripped bare.
With all signs of the rig?
Yeah,
Wow.
any of the surrounding reef, structure,
So they can't
growth.
just take the top off.
No, they level the seafloor with all signs of rig and associated reef removed. So I'm surprised because normally from the federal government standpoint, they're all about protecting the environment and protecting habitat.
Basically killing reefs and all that that wildlife attached to it.
That was
Because they have
really
those
shocking.
legs that go down into the water, and that's attached to all kinds of creatures.
Yeah. So that was really, really shocking. Grant says apparently carp, they're good. The Asians catch them at a spot north of me. Yeah, I see a lot of people do. They do fish for them.
Asian people.
I haven't tried them. I really haven't. I don't know. Maybe I need to.
No.
Maybe do a carp catch, clean, cook.
No.
No. All right. It says fortunately, 2 Gulf Coast congressmen have recently stepped in to try and save some of the ecologically and economically valuable reefs that have colonized the rigs. There's a representative from Louisiana and a representative from Texas, a Republican and a Democrat, so bipartisanship. Hey, we can all agree.
States, we live right there between Texas. We're very close to Louisiana.
So we can all agree on this. It says it would change federal law and the policy to require the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association to examine the Gulf's artificial reefs and associated fisheries production while encouraging more participation in the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement's Rigs to Reefs program. So what this legislation, from what I understand, again, read the article, what they're going to try and do is say these are artificial reefs, they're no longer rigs. And if we can designate them as reefs, not rigs, then they'll leave them alone. So I don't know about the potential of, whether or not they're still tapped into oil or whatever, if something like that was to go wrong. That I don't know about, so I can't really answer questions like that. But I do. It says that's what they're basically going to do: change the designation of them. But there are critics out there, and they talk about that there. One of the critics was saying that having reefs like this makes it too easy to catch the fish.
What?
Yeah, I kid you not. That's what it says. It says critics of the artificial reefs have long claimed these structures are simply fish aggregators, making fish easy targets for anglers and commercial harvesters. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. That doesn't make any sense. But in any case, you can see there, and there's actually even a button in the article to take action, telling Congress to support this legislation if you are in favor of this. But it says for most Gulf anglers, their favorite fishing spots have been a punch to the gut. Many are rightly frustrated, even angry at the lost fisheries, production, and opportunity. And so these 2 representatives, both of them are avid anglers, are deserving of praise for their trying to do their part to help their constituents and, more importantly, the fishers themselves. So there's a link there if you want to get involved with this and you want to help protect some of these rigs that are out there. And I think it's a good thing. Like I said, I don't know about the environmental side of things. I don't know if over time, maybe the pieces of it, but I would think they have to fill it with concrete. Somebody told me that once I have some friends that worked on the rig, and they told me once a rig goes dormant, they push concrete down into so it doesn't continue to release whatever they were drilling for. So I don't know that for sure, but that's what I have heard. But anyway, I found this article interesting, that this is going on, and so if you are interested in getting involved, if you're interested in providing some feedback to the government, saying, hey, don't get rid. There's not that many left. I mean, you're talking about if they take out as many as 700 more of the 1,500 or so that are there. You're talking about a lot.
Yeah, plus most of them, the average person cannot drive out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, those are the 2 articles. And so now we will get into unsolicited advice. And in unsolicited advice this time, if you don't know what we do, is we go on Reddit, find questions Redditors have, Redditors have questions, and so we go on there and we try and find one. We think that we can help the angler learn something that maybe they did not know before. So this one comes from this guy. I'm not going to say his name. It's there. You can read it if you want. It says, fishing from the bank. Yeah, Grant, unfortunately, YouTube has decided to put ads in the middle of about 30 minutes into our live streams.
See the ad pop up.
So if I apologize if it came at a really bad spot for you. They are skippable from what I understand. I've not figured out how to turn them off yet because I don't know why I want ads in the middle of a live stream. I haven't figured that out yet. But if anybody knows.
Premium.
Yeah, if you're a premium subscriber, then yeah, you don't get those ads. But if you're not then there. Yeah. Before we get into the Reddit question, let's see, what does Ben say? Ben says, taking out more of the rigs will really concentrate the fish to the few rigs I made. See, and yes, Ben, that's exactly it. Once you start taking out structure, fish like it's one of the
they'll move.
It's one of the reasons, and I'm gonna be flat out honest with you. Some of you have noticed in our videos we have a lot more catches than what we used to have. I'd like to think that's because we're just incredibly awesome anglers, you know, and that we're just nailing it and getting it done. But the main difference that I have our techniques really haven't changed all that much. We're still doing the same approaches, the same things, same equipment. But in Sabine, there's just not the structure. If you find structure, you're gonna find fish, which actually ties right into the question that we were going to answer here from this Redditor, because he's saying he wants to fish from the bank. And he says this, hey guys, I'm a relatively new fisherman, and one thing I still haven't really figured out is where to look for when I'm trying to find fish. I'm a bank fisherman, and I was wondering if there's any specific structures I should really focus on. I know there isn't really a correct answer to this, and it's all temperature and weather dependent. What are some basic rules I should follow when looking for fish? The lake I fish has one dock, a dam, and lots of marshy areas surrounding the creek that feeds it. Thanks for any advice. It's just what we're talking about.
Yep. All right. So you've got the dock.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually fish around the dock, and that's, some structure there. And then there's the dam. Mm-hmm. So I would fish when we were in Casablanca. We always targeted the dam first to see if there was any bass hanging around there. The marshy areas are probably harder to get to.
Yeah.
And so
I wouldn't worry about the marshy areas from the bank.
So even us, the fish were hiding a lot in freshwater. They're hiding in those tall grasses, but we couldn't cast into them without just making a mess of things.
Yeah. So you're really looking for, and it's one of these memes that we have. It's like, why do we cast
trees?
Why when you're on shore do you cast away from the shore, and why when you're in a boat you cast towards the shore? And that's because the fish are in the same place. So really, a person fishing on the bank or a person fishing on a boat is looking for the same things. You're just simply looking for structure, looking for where are the fish going to be. Before we keep going, Senior Mysterioso says, I propose a compromise, set up an artificial reef close to a rig a year or two prior to the rig removal. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, you could drop concrete, like those. I've seen the CCA does that from time to time. They're dropping big concrete into the. So yeah, maybe that's a good compromise. Say, hey, if we're going to take the rig out, we don't want the surface or whatever we want to do with the environmental look of things. Let's create an artificial reef and make sure the structure for the fish is still there. I think that'd be a good compromise. I like that. Good thinking. Good thinking. Well, Senior Mysterioso, we will nominate you to Congress. You can go to Congress. You can represent us all and let them represent the fishing interests.
Save the fish.
Save the fish. Represent the fishing interests. But anyway, back to the question. You really look for the same thing that anybody's looking for. You're looking for that structure. Key things that you're looking for is the same. Other than structure is bait activity. If you see bait activity in the water, that's going to be key. If you see bird activity, that's going to be key. It's the same things. People think that bank fishing and boat fishing is different. The difference between boat fishing and bank fishing really is on a boat you cover more water. So with bank fishing, you can't move as fast, obviously, but you still need to move. I mean, if you're not getting anything right where you are, can move and find different structure. In a bank fish, you just can't move as fast. If you get a kayak or something like that, that'll help you.
And there might be structure you don't know about, sunken rocks that you can't see, so you can look around for bait or other boats.
Yeah, see where they're fishing. And the other thing that's a big key is if there's already a worn out spot there. I mean, like you see like trails going down the bank or whatever, and you know people are fishing there because it's all worn out. And so there might be something there. You try those types of spots too. One of the things that you may consider if you're a bank fisherman, and I've seen guys do this, they sell them on Amazon now, is sonar that you can attach to your rod, and you can throw out on like kind of like almost like a bobber. And then you have a little handheld piece that you can kind of see that way. That might be something. So
I know that when we fished that freshwater Lake Falcon, what we did is we drove up and then we stopped right where we knew from other people there was a sunken bridge.
Yeah.
And so basically pulling in black bass one after the other, with a competition on who's got the biggest, but they were not all over the lake. They were right there. Yeah. So that sunken bridge made a big difference.
Ben says, "Don't encourage pot licking." Well, yes, that's true. It is. But hey, if you're bank fisherman, it's first come, first serve.
You see
that's
some
just
boats
the way
over
that
there,
goes.
and they're like, well, they probably know something you don't.
Yeah, but with boat, I can and this is my rule because being a boat, if I see a guy fishing. We have levees here, so if I see people fishing the levees and I want to fish the levees, and I see that their lines are out, I head further away from them. I'm not going to hit those spots because they can't move as easy as I can. I can go somewhere else and find it. They can't do that. So from a boat perspective, I always want to give deference to the guys that are on the piers or on the banks or on the shore. I want to stay away from those guys because they can't move different spots as much as I can. So if you're a boat fisherman, do keep that in mind as well. But if you're a bank fisherman and that's your thing, target those docks, the dam definitely would be things to anywhere with a structure. Just look for the structure spots and one of the other things you can do, I'd recommend this too. Go down to your local tackle shop and talk to the people there. A lot of times fishermen will help you. I mean, we do keep some things to ourselves because, we work hard out there to find spots and structure and all that kind of stuff. But if it's basics how to get started, most anglers are more than happy.
The other thing you can do is you can get a map of your lake, and sometimes there's detailed maps that have structures that are sunken.
I have a map of Sabine.
Sometimes
Lake
they already have written down the structures that are under there, and you didn't even know that map existed. So.
Right. Tina Ladybug, welcome. You're coming in just at the end of the stream, but better late than never, right? I'm glad you stopped by the stream, and hopefully you're having a great day as well. Senior Mysteriosa says, I know some use apps like Navionics to look on the water depths and old creek beds near shore. Exactly. There's so many tools and things out there now that you can go out there, and they're free. You can go out there, you can get them, and you can kind of see where they're structured. Grant says when our local lake opens up after duck season, there'll be 95% of the people fishing in one corner. 40 plus people elbow to elbow. Oh yeah.
When it comes to crappie though, they're only in one structure spot. Like if there's structure and brush pile, they're there. You have to just fish those.
That's just the way that is. That's crappie fishing. And I know some guys that make their own structure. They just take.
They drop their own and then they mark it on their.
Yeah, I know guys that do that too because they're marking those spots. The crappie come in, they're just gonna be on that structure, and that's just the way that is. So if you find them, you'll get a bunch of them, and they're great eating. Talking about good eating
Which
fish.
is really going back to that same story you were talking about. We have all these rigs. Well, if you reduce them in half. What if you cut all of the crappie structures in half? Those fish are going to go to those other ones, and now all you do is congregate the people in a smaller area. Not
only are you congregating them in a smaller area,
and more fish are going to be there, so there might more people.
Competition for food goes up. I don't think you're doing yourself any favors.
No. It's not really spreading it out.
Yeah, because I think that's what was talked about. Ben was saying earlier in the live stream. Was that taking out more of the rigs, concentrate the fish. So concentrate the bait, concentrate everything. It's all going to be a piece of that. So I don't think that's a great idea. But hopefully that little piece of advice helps you out if you're a bank fisherman. You can go out there and you can find the fish.
You can check out your new hat.
Oh yeah, I do have my new WeGo fishing hat here. You can get that in the store if you are so inclined. I thought it looked pretty good. It's got WeGo,
I like the black and white.
It's got WeGo fishing on the back of it, and it's got the white logo logo there. So yeah, so we got our merch is out there. Anyway, Grant says there's structure and it's the only deep spot of the lake. Oh yeah, yeah. Ben says I tried bank fishing. The teller was quite cross. Yeah, you shouldn't fish in a bank.
He's all about jokes today.
I mean, you could. There was those guys that had to go fishing in a Bass Pro Shops.
Oh yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah.
But they have a fish tank. The bank maybe not.
Maybe they have a fish
You
tank.
go fishing in their fish tank
I don't know. Anyway,
for the trash fish.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining us on this live show. Hopefully you're having, like I said, a great week. Hopefully you got some great plans for this weekend coming up. As we mentioned at the beginning of the live stream, it is Karen's birthday weekend. I had intended to take her fishing, but the weather has not cooperated with us, and it's not going to cooperate again this week. The rivers are just too high. The bayous are all flooded. There's so much debris out there that I'm going to have to wait till all that settles out before we get out there. So that means this weekend will probably be a video editing for how to make salted shrimp. I think I'm going to put that one out because I've been saving that one.
And watching your team play this weekend.
Yes, and the Ravens play this weekend.
To see if they go to the Super
Ravens
Bowl,
versus
right?
the Chiefs. This is a big game. For those who don't know, I'm a Ravens fan. Have been since the conception of the team, being originally from Baltimore. And so...
but he is a Ravens and Aggies fan.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
We got one Texas team in there.
One of them.
And I'm trying to get him to be an Astros fan. We've gone some of the games, but he's been an Orioles fan for a while, so it's hard to convert.
Yeah.
It's hard to convert.
Thank you all so much. Really enjoy your support, and thank you for being part of this growth and this journey with us on fishing. We really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you're able to get out there, enjoy the outdoors, and get some good memories out there as well. And until next time,
May the fish be with you.
all right, have a good one.